How's it going, guys? So we're going to go ahead and get into another pick band breakdown here. So this is going to be the LCK Summer 2015 second match of the first week of the season. It's going to be Samsung versus SBENU. It's going to be that's actually Prime. So we're going to go ahead and just call them Prime for the ease of my mouth. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into game one here. The first ban, Samsung's going to go ahead and take away that LeBlanc. Sassen's probably the player that stepped up the most in the promotionals. And so we're going to see a little bit of a mid lane focus, not as much as the earlier matchup that we had, but we're still going to go ahead and see a little bit of it. The Cassiopeia being taken out as well from Crown. Gragas being taken away, just a power pick that's being taken away there. Same thing with the Rek'Sai, the Sejuani as well, and then the Kalista. Now, looking at the bans here, come on, pick the Kalista. Or ban the Kalista. And there it is. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and get into sort of bans here. So we see two mid lane bans, three jungle bans, and a AD carry ban. The Kalista makes sense because Fury did show that he did have some performances, or some good performances on the Kalista during last season. The three jungle bans do make sense. The Gragas, Rek'Sai, and Sejuani being three very, very strong power bans in the jungle. And then the mid lane bans make sense just because Sassen's a very strong mid laner, and maybe they wanted to go ahead and give a little more focus onto him, and things that Samsung maybe want to go ahead and take away that LeBlanc from him, and Prime probably just wants to go ahead and take away Cassiopeia so they don't first pick it. Something that probably Sassen, maybe to protect Sassen just a little bit. But both of these teams have a very high mid lane focus, just in their styles of play with Crown and Sassen. So we're going to go ahead, jump forward a little bit here. Samsung's going ahead and picking up Azir. So it's the first time we're seeing Azir this season. Azir, just a very strong power pick. He got nerfed. He was a very strong pick in the early season last year. Got nerfed quite a bit, and then got buffed a little bit back up, and so now he's back to being a very, very strong power pick. Same thing goes now with Prime actually now goes with the Maokai and the Sivir. That is two comps that are those two champions that are very, very synergistic. The Maokai wants to go ahead and run into that backline as quickly as possible, get there, stun the carries, or CC the carries, I apologize, and sort of take them out of the fight and cause some chaos. But he can't always get there because he's just a big slow tree. But the Sivir ulti does allow him to do that, get in there and run in there as quickly as possible, speed up the tree and get him in, extend the roots a little bit and get them moving a little quicker. And so very, very high synergy there, and I think that Sivir has been in the most consistent AD carry pick in Korean League of Legends, just with her team utility that she brings to the table. Now Samsung is going to go ahead and take the Janna and the Nunu. The Nunu isn't something that we saw in the last series between Anarchy and Najin, but overall the Nunu has shown to be sort of that third-tier jungler behind the Gragas and the Rek'Sai overall in terms of international play. And I'm surprised he didn't show up in the last series, but Nunu does bring a lot of counter-jungling potential, as well as some great team fight damage and great AoE and objective securing with the Consume Smite combo. So it's very, very interesting to see that Eve is bringing him out here. And it'll be interesting to see what Prime counters with. It has to be something that has a high dueling capability, and is able to go ahead and protect his own jungle. It has good enough clear speed to sort of not let the Nunu snowball out of control. Get it, snowball. But overall, yeah, the comp looks very, very disengage heavy with the amount of slows coming out from Nunu. With the distance that he wants to keep, with the distance that Azir wants to keep, as well as the Emperor's Divide to keep everyone out of the way, as well as the Janna that they're picking up. The Janna, the disengaged queen, so to speak, not letting everyone get in there, which is going to be a problem and cause a big problem for Prime, not being able to get in. Especially now that they have that Sivir ulti, a lot of their champions, a lot of their comps are going to want to go ahead and run in, and so that shows a lot of foresight from Samsung, saying that if you want to run in, we're going to go ahead and pick all these champions that are going to go ahead and disengage. Now, Prime is going to go ahead and pick up the Lee Sin as well as the Nautilus. They hover over the Bard for quite a bit. I think the Bard would have actually been a very strong pick. With the AOE Zanyas being able to stun everyone out and allow your team to get in as quickly as possible. And make it so they can't even disengage because they can't move, and give yourself more opportunities to get in there. They go ahead and pick the Nautilus instead. The Nautilus ulti is good for tracking down and killing one target, but as soon as everyone gets around that target, sure, you're gonna knock him up and hit him up, but with the Emperor's Divide and the Monsoon coming in from Janna, that's not going to be a possibility. They're going to be able to reset the fight so many times and get it on their terms that really all the engage that you're bringing to the table is pretty much null and void after a while. The Lee Sin's a good pick, though. He does have the clear speed and the dueling capability, like I was talking about, to go ahead and handle the Nunu, as well as has a lot more gank pressure, so he's going to be able to help out his lanes a lot more. Samsung is going to go ahead and pick up again with the Lucian. That's something that we've seen be a very big pick here, at least in the first two matches of the LCK so far this season, and the Hecarim. Now, the Hecarim gives the Samsung team something that they don't have, which is that backline dive that's going to be able to blow up a target and really just keep them busy, which I think is very, very good. We see Sassen picking up the Fizz for himself. So again, just more engage, more AoE engage that they want to go ahead, get into a fight, but I'm not entirely sure if Prime is going to be able to do that, and so it makes it extremely difficult for them to do so. The comps overall, Samsung again just has the way better comp here. They have all of the disengage and everything like that, with the ability to possibly go in and just keep the backline busy, where the front line can't just dive. They have to deal with this Hecarim that's breaking up their backline, as well as giving them a very, very strong split pusher. And again, just more objective control with that secondary smite. Maokai, again, Soul not taking that smite, so it's going to go ahead and hurt them in the long run, especially with the Nunu and the Hecarim. The Nunu consumes smite combo, and the Hecarim being able to smite targets as well. Now, on Prime side, they do have a very synergistic comp. I just think it doesn't work well against this Samsung comp with the amount of disengage that they're going to want to bring to the table. It's not, they're answering a question of how do we get around this by just getting more of something. They're going to try to overpower the Samsung lineup. They're going to try to overpower the disengage with more engage, and that's just something that doesn't really work. It's kind of counterintuitive at that point. And it really does show in the game as well. Samsung does win the matchup at 32 minutes, or 32 to 33 minutes, and just really no performance or no ability to really make a play happen from Prime. All of them really just not able to create things. The only one that was really able to create was Sassen with that Fizz, but again, he is one of more so their star player. And yeah, he was able to create some picks, but other than that, in big team fights and anything like that, there's no engage, no way to get in there for Prime. So we're gonna go ahead and get into game 2 here. And first ban is gonna be that Hecarim. So Prime does not want to see that Hecarim come out once again. That was something that caused a lot of havoc in the last game. Even though Cuvée only went 2-2-2, it's still just something that was a huge problem for them to deal with. Now the Kalista being banned out as well. Same thing coming from Samsung, banning out, or well, it's another Kalista ban, something else that's really, really strong. Prime again banning out the Cassiopeia and the LeBlanc, so more mid lane focus, and the TF and the Azir coming out from Samsung. Now, we didn't see the TF and Azir bans from Samsung for the last game because they had that first pick, so they wanted to get at least one of these champions, and they felt like they can go ahead and perform either way with those, but they want to go ahead and ban those out. Do it went ahead and subbed in for Crown, as well as Dan and Vivid subbing in for Nuclear and Secret. So that whole, pretty much a full lineup switch here. The only ones in there for Soul and Catch, and they were probably the two that had the biggest impact for Prime the last game. But we're gonna go ahead and see how these new players perform here. How this changes the pick ban really. Do-It does have more of a mage focus, so again, taking out that TF and Azir is a little more focused there. But Prime going ahead and countering out Crown once again, banning out the Cassiopeia and the LeBlanc, so a lot more mid game or mid lane focus there. The Hecarim again being a thorn in their side that they want to get rid of, and the Kalista continuing to be a power pick that no one wants to deal with. The amount of mobility she brings to the table, as well as CC and slow that she can bring with her ulti and with the Rend, being able to just completely turn around team fights and turn chases into dives, or turn chases into just full turnaround fights and kills, is a really big priority for everyone on the table. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get into the first picks here. The Gragas going ahead being picked up after being banned out that last game. Again, Gragas being such a strong power pick, something you just want to pick up right away, but choosing to go with that over the Rek'Sai. It's a little bit curious there, but very understandable. Gragas does bring a little bit more AP, or brings AP damage to the table, and especially if they're going to go full tank in that top lane, I could see why they wanted to Gragas instead. Samsung going to go ahead pick up the Thresh and the Gnar. The Thresh wasn't picked or banned in the last game, but he's being picked up here again, something that we don't really see banned, which is really strange. If you go ahead and watch that last video where we broke down the Anarchy and Najin series, the Thresh was banned out in the majority of the games there and first picked in the game that he wasn't. Very strange thing there, but now we're seeing sort of his natural position here where he's a very strong power pick, but not something that's really ban worthy. And so we have the Gnar coming out as well. Kuve, if he couldn't get that Hecarim, he's going to get another champion that can dive into the backline and cause some havoc, which is the Gnar. And we'll see the impact that he has on that. Just generalistic comps, I like the way that Samsung's not really showing much here. They're just going ahead and picking two very strong picks, things that can fit into a lot of different situations, and leaving it open for them to really adapt to what Prime is picking up here. Now they're going to go ahead and pick the Maokai as well as the Alistar. Again, this is a combo that we saw in the earlier matchup. If you go back and watch that Anarchy Najin series that we saw earlier in the day, you're seeing the Gragas, Maokai, Alistar, a lot of CC there, a lot of chaining there. The only thing they have to really communicate with is the headbutt explosive cast combo coming in from the Gragas and Alistar. If Alistar hits someone in the wrong direction and it explosive casts the wrong way, and the Gragas explosive casts at the wrong time, it could hit someone. It can hit a target into your carries, which is extremely bad, and can cause someone to completely lose control of a team fight if it happens incorrectly. So a lot of communication is going to have to come out from Prime to make that work out in the way they want it to. We're going to go ahead and see Samsung pick up the Lulu and the Jinx. So we're starting to see what this comp is actually going to be. You're seeing Hyper Carry picked up with the Lulu. That usually means a more so protect the Lulu comp. You compare that with the Thresh, or protect the Jinx comp. I apologize, but with that wild growth, and then the Thresh for the ultimate peel and Lantern and things like that to get the Jinx out and protect her as much as possible, as well as the Gnar breaking up that front line and being able to provide some havoc and protection at the same time, is going to give Jinx a lot of room to move. Fury has shown his ability to carry as well, so a very, very strong setup here. Now it'll be interesting to see where Prime goes with their carries. They're going to go ahead and get the Ziggs and the Lucian. Again, this is just a comp where we're seeing something kind of play against itself. You see a lot of dive and a lot of going in potential for Prime, wanting to be able to be very mobile, move around the fights, cause some havoc. The Lucian fits that role perfectly, being able to maneuver and reposition himself multiple times throughout a fight, and duel with certain targets if he gets caught out. While the Ziggs is there just to maybe stall out, it does give them the wave clear that they need to survive, and just in case something goes wrong, and as well as help with sieges. But in a team fight scenario, I don't entirely see the Ziggs being all that useful. If someone can just dive the Ziggs, he doesn't have too much mobility. He has a lot of AoE and a lot of slows to throw down, but if someone just comes right on top of him, there's not really going to be anything that he can do. Especially if there's a mistake, again, with the explosive cast and the headbutt, we're going to see that cause a little bit more issues. But just something to kind of be aware of. and then the Rek'Sai, of course, being picked up from Samsung, sort of the yin to the yang that is Gragas, and just overall rounding out that comp. This does give Samsung a real threat here for diving. Just more threat there for diving, as well as some protection for the Jinx, being able to knock up some targets. Get back into the fight as quickly as possible, and everything like that. Everything that goes with that Rek'Sai champion. Some really good front line and good protection and peel being able to be picked up for the Jinx. And yeah, overall, again, just a better comp from Samsung. Prime's comp just looks a little bit skewed and a little bit against itself. So we're looking at sort of the results of the game, and it came to fruition. I mean, Samsung did pull out the game again, so they did win the series 2-0. Game lasted 35 minutes this time. Fury did have a big impact onto Jinx, but it was more so the Lulu being able to clean up and help put out some extra damage when the Jinx was sort of forced out of the fight. And so yeah, a little more. We're seeing the synergistic comps there coming out where Cuvée and Eve were able to protect their carries a lot more than Sol and Ketch were, as Sol and Ketch were going and trying to dive into that backline and just not able to survive with the amount of AoE and stuns and CC that they had coming out from Samsung. So yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and be back later today with some more pick round breakdowns for tonight's games. So we'll see you guys later today. Bye.